Here at O-Gauge Railroading, we feel very strongly that the future of our hobby is totally dependent on getting our children and families involved in running trains and building layouts. And that's one reason we enjoyed our visit with Chuck and Janet Civitovic and their two children, Chaz and Kim. For O-Gauge model railroading is very much of a family affair in the Civitovic household.
Now that the layout's pretty much completed, this has become a real family project. We do enjoy running the trains as a family just about every evening. Running the trains, Chaz has had a great education, but basically getting underneath and working with his hands and working with electricity. That's something that I've learned when I was little, and I'm really passing it on to him. You learn a lot about electricity just by running the trains. Now that he's 6 years old, he does do a lot of work up on the trains with me. But as long as the trains are running, that's pretty much what he does every evening.
This family involvement with trains began a few years ago when Chuck and Janet built a new house.
We purposely built a ranch house so the basement would be large. We came down into the basement here. We started putting some shelves on the wall. And as the room started to take shape, my wife decided this will make a better game room than it would a train room. It ended up a great family room for the kids and the family, but we had to go up into the attic then and find a new space. The layout itself is 11 by 36. It fills the whole room. Being as narrow as it is, the trains do have to go through the walls approximately 7 times. There's 33 switches, the Roundhouse with 10 tracks around the turntable. The layout itself can be operated pretty prototypical. The engines can be taken out of the Roundhouse, trains can be made up in the yard. There are all automatic uncouplers. Actually, the layout can be totally controlled from the control panel, and nothing has to be touched by human hands. We used a 32-inch turntable. We went to Curtis switches with tortoise switch machines. Also Gargrave's track, which we were able to bend to our needs for the layout. Once we got the track in place, at that point we started to design how we were going to scenic the layout. My wife did basically all the scenery, building the plaster mountains on top of screen. We used all type of ground foams, different plants we have out in the yard as far as to build trees. We threw some Plasticville houses in there because that's what I remember as a kid, but we did weather them. We do have some O-scale buildings, and at this point now we're running a complete standard O type cars on the layout. There are a few exceptions. We're running the OR cars and some TTUX cars, but basically the layout itself is operational with all standard O and large engines.
Operation is the key word. Chuck and Janet have created a layout that appears to be much larger than it really is. Even in the confined space of the attic, there are plenty of scenes that create the illusion of reality. What's next in the Civitovic household?
I'm in a process now of also trying to get a caboose into my backyard here, and hopefully we can have a G-gauge layout in that. O-gauge railroading has become a real tradition in our family, and I hope our kids enjoy it as much as I have growing up.